Hello and welcome to the MegaMonsterCast, where today we are talking about episode
Seven.
7 of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I am Nick. With me is Alex and Josh.
Hello.
Hello there.
So, today we're going to talk about the military-industrial complex.
Oh,
Yeah.
so this isn't going to be a short episode.
Yeah, no,
Specifically,
like 15 minutes tops.
yep, we're going to talk about,
Okay, see y'all later.
yep. I mean, this episode actually really heavily revolves around the military-industrial complex.
Yeah. And spying on children.
And um you know,
I feel like at the end of watching this series, I I I'd almost like to do a video essay on it.
I mean, you would not be
Just
the first
do it.
person.
no, of course I wouldn't. I feel like it would be lost in the expanse, honestly.
Mhm.
Still do it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I might do it for my own benefit. Because I think this series does have a lot to say, despite my prior skepticism. Um,
I say watch it through, go to Walmart, buy the correct one, watch that, then do the essay on both of them.
Honestly, like the comparison between this version and what you've told me about the prior versions and the revisions throughout the history of this series, I think there's probably a lot there to discuss.
Mhm. There's a lot
I
of
don't know yet because I've only seen a portion of one of them.
there.
Here's hoping that there's something to discuss because I think these topics are important.
Mhm. There's a lot going on with this series. So I have now two Evangelion model kits behind me. I was waiting for this episode, for this series of episodes. I put it up a little
Okay,
early, but whatever.
so we know that Nick has Unit 1. What do we think he got?
So
Past Unit 1.
I have Unit 1 and Unit 2 built. This is
See, like
the
I was gonna guess.
I
I
love
You ruined it.
also I have Unit 0 that I need to build. It's like sitting in my backlog. I'll probably try to knock it out this week since I have the week off. But this is a little different than the Unit 2 you're used to seeing. Well, this is getting ahead
Yeah.
of ourselves a bit, but
Well, we'll show it off to us all the same.
this is the rebuild of Evangelion Unit 2. So it's got a little
Mhm.
more white on it, and it's got little horns.
you. Little horn.
But something that I actually I was going through the internet the other day, and Reddit actually reminded me that the designs for the Evangelions originally in Ava are a little more stocky built than the ones in the rebuild movies, which are more lanky. Which is kind
Mhm.
of funny considering the Evangelions, I always picture them as lanky, but apparently over time they get progressively more lanky.
Growth spurts.
They don't feel like they need to be any more lanky from this series that we've been watching.
They get
They do.
um they
Like
lean
the
more
scene.
into it over time.
Well, the scene that we get in later episodes where they're all in that tunnel together, they're all pretty fucking lanky.
Yeah, but like they get more so to try to like I think it highlights that they
Di-
are very inhuman looking to make them more lanky.
Does it feel any way similar to the stylistic choice of the thin lightsabers?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I guess I'm asking that as like, no, I did not think of lightsabers in the way that Rebels and other properties that use that art style went with. But is it a product of the art style more than it is a product of the physics and reality of the world. Are we talking about more storytelling or practicality?
I'd
Artistic
say
choice.
I'd say it's a mixture of artistic choice and
Yeah, artistic choice. Sure.
storytelling to a certain extent. Like the rebuild movies. So I mean, we kind of it's a little bit of a spoiler, but you've already kind of caught on to it at this point. Um, which I mean, like
You
it was just going
bitch.
to happen. Like anyone with media savvy today can pick up on this, but at the time it wasn't much of a thing.
I feel like you're
Um,
also shaming me in the middle of giving me praise.
no, so it's
That's right.
the Evangelions are clearly biological creatures. Like they're biological creatures to an extent. They are a biomech. They're not machine. They're more organic. And
Yeah,
at the
they're cells.
time, that was not something that had been done before. So it was like a big gradual reveal that the Evangelions were biological in nature, not mechanical in nature.
Well, they've been kind of teasing that. I think they did their themselves a favor
Hmm.
by not explaining what the Avas are while teasing that they are organic and they're wearing armor and
Hmm.
there's something underneath.
Yep. And like when you see the armor stripped off of the one, you can see that
And
it
you get
has
that.
like
But
eyes.
we don't see that again for another 5, 10,
Yep.
12 episodes. Like that does not come up again in the near future.
Yeah. Although we get like
The
other
thing
little
that
teases to it, like Shinji talk. I don't. Was that in this episode that Shinji talks about that it smells like blood whenever he gets inside of the
No,
bug?
I think that's one of the next ones.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have heard that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like they give you the tease there's something biological about the Avas. Like
Mhm.
the Avas aren't like we're throughout the entire lore of this world, we should not discount the Avas.
Yeah.
But they have been focusing on the biology and the like we even get that why did we call them angels
Mhm.
aspect here in the next few episodes where we're really focusing on what are the angels and why would we give them those names if they were supposed to be harbingers of God.
Mhm.
Like so we're starting to peel back the onion as we've grown to know this version of our world.
Mhm.
But I feel like they've intentionally moved away from the mystique of the Avas. And every now and again we get that whole, you know, the entry plug smelled like blood. Isn't that weird?
Yep. Or like this episode, I think does a really good job of comparing. Like it's very apparent that the mech that the military makes is a actual mech. It looks like a mech. It doesn't
Yep.
appear to be like any sort of like humanoid thing. And it really highlights like the military made this. This is
But it
supposedly
was humanoid. It
it
had arms
was
and
It was
legs
human.
and a central processing unit. There it was clearly humanoid inspired
but at
and
the same point in time, it's humanoid. I shouldn't have said it's not humanoid, but it's humanoid, but it's not human-esque. Whereas the
I don't know if
Avas
I
are
agree with that.
human-esque.
It doesn't have
Like
that biomatter.
you couldn't tell that from the exterior looking at an Ava.
I mean,
So what was the point of having that machine over an Ava? Was it protecting the single pilot? Was it the amount of time that this creation could be active? Because we never actually get to see this thing fight.
mhm.
It doesn't. by any record that we've seen, it doesn't have any reason to be on the battlefield. It was from second one tampered with.
Yep.
Because I think that's what they're implying.
Oh, it's very heavily implied that Gendo had this thing tampered with to avoid it becoming any sort of competition
Gendo
for them.
Ikari?
Oh, I think that's what the ending's specifically leading you to
Yeah.
believe.
I was just making sure I understood the same person you were.
Yeah, Gendo Ikari 100% had this thing tampered with so that he wouldn't have competition.
I'm really sick of that person.
Gendo? Oh, yeah. And Gendo-like characters. But, I mean, like, the angels are...
Gendo-like characters. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Well, I mean, Gendo specifically, because Gendo's a fuckhead, but, like...
I don't know any fuckheads in our real world that act like Gendo.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. There's
That's
no...
insane.
Yeah, no.
It'd be weird. It'd be weird to draw any parallels with, our real world.
Yeah, no, but...
Especially here in America.
Again, I think that... Again, if you look at these two... If you look at the machine versus the Ava, though, like, there's a clear fundamental difference in what they are, which is supposed to... Again, the thing that the military made is clearly a machine, and that's supposed to highlight the fact that, like, it looks so different from the Avas. This thing is a machine. The Avas
It didn't
don't
look
like
different. Like, are you serious? Like, it was bipedal with arms.
Yeah, but Josh,
Or
back me up on this thing.
dick.
Back me up on this, because I think you would agree. Like, I mean, the idea behind them is similar, but, like, one is clearly supposed to be more evocative of a robot. The other one is clearly more evocative of an armored creature, which is, I think, what this was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, please, Josh, tell me, because I do not see the dichotomy at all
I'm
between
gonna try
those
to find
two.
a picture of this too.
Between those two definitions, I do not see a difference.
No, the
Because
military one is...
I feel like the the jackassery that was displayed by the military forces here in deploying this mech is really telling, as well as, like, I don't see it being like, if I was a member of the public and saw one of the or both of these things being deployed at any time, they
Okay.
both have 2 legs, 2 arms, and what looks to be a face. Like,
One
yeah,
second.
the face on the mech is part of the torso, basically, but, like, it's not wholly anthropomorphic.
All right, so I'm streaming
Um,
this for you. This is the
Yeah.
this is the mech from the episode. Like,
do you not see where the command module would be? Where the brain, where the eyes, where the nose?
No, and
where
I see what you're saying, but, like, this one is a simplified figure.
Yes.
It's again, I'm not saying it's not humanoid. I'm saying one is humanoid, one is human-esque, where, like, the Evangelion clearly looks like a living creature. This thing does not.
Yeah, one is clearly just a mech, while the other one is a knight, essentially.
I don't think
in
that's
armor.
true. I fundamentally disagree with you both, because based on the information that I have up to this point about this series and about these creatures, I see no difference between the two. You could easily tell me next episode that this had some sentience to it, like the biological aspects of the Avas up to this point, and I would not be surprised one damn bit. This looks like it is in the same class of creature as the Avas up to this point. I have no reason to disbelieve that.
Okay. I think at this point we'll just have to agree to disagree for right now.
I mean, I know y'all are right. I'm not trying to bitch.
No, I get what you're saying too. I think it would be interesting to revisit this later in the series, though.
Yeah, probably.
I think that touching on this again later would be a smart idea, just to see if your opinion holds still or not.
I would be interested to see if the human counter offensive that is not Ava exclusive has any form or has any form of evolution or continues about this way, because I feel like if they introduce this mech now, that's really interesting and we can go a lot of places with that. If they just drop it here, I think it would be a disappointment. So I think there's a lot of things you can do there with the just like the thought experiment of all of this.
Yeah,
I could be
okay.
wrong.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think we need to try to start actually touching on the crux of the episode itself, because I'll be real, we spent like we haven't actually even talked about the episode, and we're like 15 minutes in, which is not a bad thing because this is good discussion, but we need to actually touch on the plot a little bit too.
Yeah,
Besides,
my bad.
no, dude, you're fine. Like, this is still good information. This is still good, but we need to make sure we touch on like what's going on, you know? So anyway, episode does begin with Shinji eating in their apartment, only for Shinji and Pen Pen eating in the apartment, for Misato to come out, stroll in, crack a beer, and down it first thing in the morning as her breakfast.
Hell yeah.
Again, doing some pretty solid work on establishing who Misato is as a character.
Hell yeah. That's some Midwestern shit right there.
She also tries to justify it by saying, like, this is a traditional Japanese thing where you're supposed to drink sake first thing in the morning, as she's crushing a bush.
That's a Coors if I've seen it.
It's a Coors, but it's also a bush.
I don't think either Coors nor Bush qualify as a malt.
I think at this point it's just trying to make something.
Well, it specifically says malt on the can.
Yeah, fair. So.
Fuck, it does.
So we get also for our viewers, I'm having to watch this on my phone because I'm
I'm also not trying to be
cheap-ass
very judgy about that either. I've gone through that myself.
Yeah, I get it. Shinji is judging the shit out of her.
Oh, yeah. Definitely part of the narrative.
All right, fucking 14-year-old. Yeah, so then Shinji, again, judging the shit out of her, immediately has to clean up after her because she is his ward, not the other way around.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. This episode also pushes the narrative of his classmates are jealous that he gets to live with her because she's hot, and they think that that must be a really great time, even though he is perpetually frustrated by having to be the adult in the relationship.
What he thinks is the adult in the relationship.
Which, I mean, there's a certain amount of that to it, yes. Like, let's be real. Out of the two of them,
what you expect from an adult relationship as a 14-year-old should be tempered.
That's been alone at this.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. I'm just saying it should be tempered by a little bit of reality when he gets actually told by his friends a perspective that he had not considered later in this episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes things aren't what they always seem to be, and your preconceived notions should remain challenged, and you should remain humble. I don't feel like that's hard.
Yeah. So we get all of his friends talking about how, like, oh yeah, it's cool you get to live with Misato. I guess that's a great time.
Everything comes with its challenges.
Mhm.
Like you're all pricks a little bit.
Yeah.
Just talk to each other.
Every last one of you is a teenager and therefore probably at least a little bit of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Teenagers can't talk to each other.
We also have Shinji having a flashback to looking at the Ava's eye for the first time.
Yeah. Just
Very
remind you that they're not mechanical.
Yep. Again, that was
like
kind of,
the robot.
and that was kind of like, again, a part of this show was this was the first time a bio organic mech had been done in a TV show, so the gradual reveal of that was kind of a thing.
Ow.
Like anymore, that's not particularly groundbreaking, but for the 90s, that was a huge deal.
One of the reasons why I always recommend Westworld.
Oh, just wait. Just wait.
Yeah. Where do you think Westworld came from?
So then
It's not a problem to be derivative
Southwest
as
world.
long as you have a good grasp on what you want to do with your material.
So anyway, we get a scene of characters on a plane in order to save money. Only one character's mouth is moving most of the time on a screen really far away for like a full minute. So you only have to do tiny little motions on top of a pre-existing frame. And then we have several other frames where it's just a slight pan inside of the plane with all the characters faces off screen so they can talk to each other and you don't have to animate them. Can you tell that Studio Gainax was really trying to save money so they could embezzle it?
Well, I feel like embezzlement is an accusation. I just wanted to point out
No,
that
that's a real thing. They got shut down and their founder was sued for that.
Yeah, there is no accusation. It's a proved fact.
Yeah, that's a real thing that they had
okay.
to face legal trouble for.
Beside that clearly adjudicated fact, did you notice that the entire pacing, the timeline of this episode was framed around the breakfast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. How the next time they have breakfast, she's dressed in her nice outfit and she's acting
Like
like
a
the
professional
mature.
outfit.
Well, we get the breakfast cycle 3 or 4 times, I think.
Yep.
Pin's reaction though there is the best.
Pen's been with her longer, and this is probably the first time he's seen her like that.
Just fish.
Yep.
I respect her. She knows how to be professional absolutely in the moment.
And she chooses not to.
No, she knows when to be professional. Like I feel like she has a responsibility level higher than many of the characters in this this story. But we've also been given the most opportunity to see her in her vulnerable, like trying to be herself moments.
Yeah.
Like we don't know anything more. Like we don't know about any other character more than we know about her. I think at this point in the series.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's probably accurate. Even Shinji, we don't know a whole lot about his background.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
just
think
know he's depresso boy.
Like,
I
I-
think we know more about her than we do about Shinji.
mhm. We also get Ritsuko a lot this episode, which I appreciate. As like, I mean, again, none of the characters are mentally well. Ritsuko camouflages it better than some of the other characters.
Where does
And
because
her
maybe I'm
intimidating ass eyebrows.
maybe I'm just not picking up on it. But where does Ritsuko fit in the hierarchy?
She's the head scientist.
Where does that fit
She's
with
she's
Major
basically in.
Katsurugi?
So the two of them are friends. Like have been friends for years at this point. Um, they work in different parts, I think.
Yes.
The
Um,
different branches, like the
mhm,
science department versus the defense department. Yeah.
yeah. So like they're collaborators, but um,
But like at some point, like like every episode, we almost always get some sort of like, I'm superseding your authority. I'm Major Katsuragi.
mhm.
Like,
She can do that
like
for the most part. There's only like a few people that can probably pull that card on her. And like Ritsuko, depending on the situation, is one of them that can pull that card on Misato.
She has more shares in the stock.
She's also, I would make the argument, just
lucky
knowing
Josh.
kind of the vibes of Nerve
I
and
think you mean
knowing how
nerve.
Nerve and knowing how yeah, I
Nerve.
know
It's
that
nerve.
it bothers the shit out of me when he
Nierve.
really did
It's
that.
nerve.
Yep.
It's in French it's Nierve.
Yep. But and knowing kind of the politics there and what Gendo seemingly values, Ritsuko's probably more important of the two because
Oh, no.
she's directly in control of maintaining the Avas, which are the most important thing to him.
Even though Major Katsuragi is literally in charge of the operation, she's the operations manager.
Yes, but my
Misato is literally more important than her in these situations. Like it's do or die on Misato's dime.
again, there's just some things you're gonna have to see over time, but I would say
I get it.
I would say he probably places more importance on Ritsuko than her.
Can I just say I don't give a fuck what Gendo thinks
Oh no, that's
sometimes?
fine. Like again,
Fuck
that's
that
totally.
asshole so hard.
Oh, it's that's the correct response to Gendo Ikari. That's the absolute correct response to Gendo. Like he's
He's a
a truly
garbage.
bad person. Out of all the characters in this show, which none of them are great people, he is like undeniably the worst. Like even characters that in
I have
most other
such a
shows would be considered the worst character, he like dwarfs any bad traits they
I have
have,
such a I agree with you so much. I have such a tangible disconnect with this man.
which you're supposed to.
That's
He's
what they
supposed
want.
to, yeah, he's supposed to be the like he's obviously the villain of the show. Like you've picked up on that, right? Like the
It doesn't
angels are
feel
the
like
villains.
it doesn't feel like it has to be that way, which is where I'm like not willing to commit to that being the like him actually being the antagonist feels a little bit not deceitful, but
He's so the way
I'm,
antagonism works in this show is also very complicated.
this feels like I'm with you wholly. Like, let me before you get any
Yep,
further
yep.
into it, it feels like this is very much like someone's brain having an argument with itself. Like this
'Cause it
feels
was.
this
It
feels
was.
this feels incredible. Well, especially because of the conversations we had about
Mhm.
how this series came about. This feels extremely introspective, and like I can see it very much. But I want it to be
More
not more
cohesive.
tangible, not more cohesive, because like I feel like I feel like it is cohesive that
Mhm.
we are doing something. Like every character does have its own purpose, but I feel like the archetypes are very lacking.
Mhm.
Like every archetype that we find, every character is very distinct and have their own problems, their own history, their own desires, and whatnot. But like it leaves a lot. It leaves a lot wanting, I
Mhm.
guess.
I get that.
I'm not sure where I stand with this series. Like I did binge like 5 or 6 episodes in a row to like build up some anticipation.
Mhm.
Let's get some excitement going. And that worked, but I'm not sure I still care yet.
And that's understandable too.
And I want to, because I find this whole experiment, if it's like a thought experiment, I find it very interesting.
Yep. And that's kind of how you have to look at it sometimes is in a lot of ways this is a thought experiment. And this is
At least an exploration of someone's emotions.
yeah, and this is honestly this is basically again it's the creator kind of trying to do therapy.
I would love to express my therapy in something so artful that many people and generations of people view it as premier viewing experience.
Mhm.
This is this must like this must be top tier for the creator. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, good on you for having your your mental experience be something that we all talk about.
Yep.
Uh, couldn't want
And
more for
still,
myself.
Um so yeah, we get like
Still,
a little talky here and there. Um Specifically they bring up with this new mech that it'll be able to run for longer than 5 minutes at one go because it has a nuclear reactor on it, and that it won't just go out of control, which is like their other big selling
foreshadow.
point for it.
yeah, it felt very Titanic.
Hmm. I mean,
This was
which
their Titanic moment.
oh yeah, again, like this episode is really just it's about corporate espionage. Like it's about the military industrial complex and corporate espionage because this entire episode is built around Gendo sets this like has this mech sabotaged so it goes rogue so they won't make more of it because this thing arguably could have fucked over his own agenda. It did run way longer than the Avas. It if it hadn't been tampered with would have never gone out of control. It directly addressed the problems that the Avas clearly have. Like this is just an episode about Gendo Akari covering his own ass so he can continue to work unimpeded.
And I don't think that he deserves any level of credit here. This is strictly a move against humanity.
Oh, and that's
despite like I'm the first, especially on this podcast, to be skeptical of the government having a super weapon, which is what this represents.
Yeah.
But this UN entity that controls the Avas is exactly that. This is clearly humans sabotaging humans,
Mhm.
and Gendo, is a bitch
Gendo doesn't
who was
care.
unwilling to put his life on the line in
Mhm.
order to keep up this ruse because he's a limey little fuck who needs those shitty little glasses knocked into his skull and to become part of his skeletal structure
Mhm.
as soon as possible.
Yep. No. So I think you've also picked up
Because
on
he
something
becomes
important.
king of the world.
So Josh, we can say this. I'll just say this because I feel like this is still safe to say. Um, Alex, you have picked up on a very important part of Gendo Akari's character.
Yep.
Gendo Akari does not care about humanity.
He
He
has his
has
own
zero
personal goal.
care about humanity as a whole.
This is why power in the hands of one can never be trusted.
Yeah, and that's also very heavily explored in this show. Gendo Akari essentially
Looks like we
represents
didn't
that.
learn anything.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, Gendo Akari represents essentially someone who has their own agenda and does not care about how it very directly impacts anyone other than himself. To the point where, like, he basically sends his son in to disarm a
Multiple
nuke.
times.
Well, this episode to disarm a nuke, basically. His son and his chief of operations.
Mm-hmm.
He sacrificed his entire command structure and his entire weapons division
Yep.
for a go fuck me demonstration.
Yep.
We'll get into it in later episodes, but like
Oh, do we?
he weaponizes a good job against his own son's self-preservation instincts.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't care about his son.
No, like
He has
Gendo Akari
he has
cares about
one care.
he cares about one thing. Genuinely he cares about one specific thing, and that is all he cares about. And that's something that you'll
Very
figure
important
out
later
as the
on.
show goes on. Like Gendo, like all these characters have very varying like motivations and drives. Gendo Akari is very singularly focused, and everything he does revolves around this one specific thing. And he
That
will
can be
do.
a very powerful motivator and mover.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
it's
don't think that it has ever been described as something that is best for the species.
oh no,
Again, he doesn't care. He just cares for his one goal.
yep, yeah, like all of humanity can go fuck itself as long as he gets what he specifically wants. And like you are supposed to by the end of this show, like I mean even by now you obviously realize it. Like Gendo Akari is supposed to make you very uncomfortable with what he's willing to do to get what he wants. Like he is a very scary person if you think about
His
it.
purpose in the narrative has to be challenging the idea of the ends justify the means.
Even that like it's not even like challenging that. Like it's the ends justify the means, but it's also not knowing what the ends are. Like
No, I
no
don't
one
know what the
else.
ends are.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's the thing is nobody else in this show at this point where we're talking right now has any idea what he wants either. There's maybe
Even
a
his
couple,
command structure.
there's maybe a couple of people in the entire world who know what he wants, and I'm not gonna hazard for sure on if that's true and who does right
Yeah.
now, but Gendo Ikari is a very dangerous man because the ends justify the means to him, and no one else is allowed to know what the ends are. Like, he is a scary, scary man. Anyway, this episode mainly
I
revolves
have a
around.
lot. I have a lot less trust in him than I do Makima.
Oh yeah, no, like
Yeah,
Josh,
actually,
that's not.
good
Yeah,
point.
that's not crazy to say. That's not crazy to say. That's a
Yeah,
pretty
no.
normal thing. Yeah, no, like Gendo Ikari.
Are you serious? Makima is a crazy bitch.
Gendo Ikari ends up on the worst anime characters lists for everything.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like Gendo Ikari is a scary
does he get
motherfucker.
punished?
Wait and find out.
Yeah, that's a complicated question.
Wait and find out.
Like this show has a lot of things that happen in it, and where you have to watch this show and a movie.
Sometimes I just want the the most powerful and maniacal among us to get what they deserve.
Mhm.
And I want to watch it for all that it's worth.
I will say,
I
Dude.
get very little catharsis in this world.
Mhm.
And watching those of us that get to get downhill suffer, that's what Schadenfreude was made for.
That's fair. Again, you're gonna get.
We'll see.
This show has a lot of things that happen in it, and I can't get too specific on a whole lot of them. But I mean,
I'm not using this show for catharsis for the real world at all.
yeah.
And if you're making that relationship connection by watching this and judging it by anything in American politics right now, you're a fool and wrong.
Oh, thank
That's
God,
you
man.
doing it.
Yeah.
I thought that's what was happening. So I wasn't.
No.
I'm
There's
glad
no
you got me straight.
There's no reason to believe that the catharsis that I get from this is anything to do with the current political state of the world.
Mhm.
No reason at all, and you should be ashamed by thinking so.
Yep.
I have no shame.
So
Not you, Josh. We're not talking. We're talking to them.
yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, Misato gets in the thing and disarms it, and that's how the episode.
She
mostly
doesn't,
ends.
though. She knows she doesn't.
No, I know.
Nope.
She knows she doesn't. Like
Well,
that.
she gets told she does.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that she gets told. I think she very much is clever enough to have figured it out without being told, because she saw the error message and knew that it was an override.
Well, yeah. Plus, they do state in there like this was orchestrated by someone else.
Yep. Yeah. No.
So
It's
yeah,
very
she figures it out, but she gets confirmed.
It's very clear. And again, as viewers, we know that it was clearly Gendo orchestrating it. Real talk.
Oh, but if you miss for a second, if you're not looking for a second, that scene where he gets Adam is seconds long.
Yeah, no, it. Okay, so I'm glad you noticed that. I'm glad you noticed that.
It's seconds long.
Yep, I'm glad you noticed that. That is very important for you to have noticed. That is one of the most important scenes. That's the most important scene in this episode.
I actually ended up backing it up, going like, I think I missed something, and watching it again, and just no, I heard every single word.
Yep. Yeah, no, that is the most important scene in this episode. Like, the episode is good. It's fun. This
But that
episode is
but that moment, it was
Mhm.
maybe what, like 5, 6, 7 seconds long.
If that.
Yep.
That moment is so nondescript. Like, you don't even really see the people involved. Like, you know that it's Ikari.
Mhm.
But like, you just don't get any more information other than like, oh yeah, I guess this was the reason.
Yep. And that is arguably one of the early episodes for these early episodes. That's probably the most important thing that has happened so far.
Oh, I think it completely undermines the idea of Ikari being the distant hero.
Oh no, he's
Like, if I'm willing to buy the argument that y'all have made about him being the antagonist, but it makes me sick.
no, he's
And
a
he's the
truly
one,
terrifying one.
he's the first person in the series. I think this is in a later episode, so spoilers. But he's the first person in the fucking series to say, "Man's greatest enemy is his fellow man."
Well, yeah, he knows he is. Yeah, no, he's fully aware that
Takes one
he
to know one, you cunt.
Yeah, no, again, he's talking about himself. He's aware that he is a dangerous person.
Dude, put a gun in your mouth. Just for the sake of all the rest of us, just chew on it, bitch.
Yeah, again, he is
God, I hate these fucking pricks.
the
It's
most
chocolate
dangerous
flavored
person.
gun.
He is the most
Chocolate
dangerous
flavored
person.
bullets.
Yeah. So that was the episode.
In
Again,
Minecraft.
thankfully you caught that again, like 5 seconds maybe,
Yeah,
because that
it
is
was such
super
a
important.
passing moment. I could have been like I was watching it as I was going to bed. I could have easily not noticed that scene.
Yep.
As it's designed to be.
Oh yeah,
so.
like it's designed that people missed it the first watch. A lot of people did. And it is the most important thing that happens in these first like 7
Well,
episodes.
it sets up your mistrust of him. Like, we were already set up to mistrust him because we're connected to his son.
Mhm.
But we're not meant to like him. But that scene set us up to hate him.
Yep.
Like, you're such a fucking fake. Not only are you a prick for what you believe in, but you're a fake, a liar, and
Scruffy looking nerf herder.
Yep.
you want to do things that involve destruction of human life in order to achieve petty, simple, childish goals.
Yeah.
Not unlike any of our politicians today.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, just wait. Yeah. So
Good
that was
phrasing,
the
though.
episode. Yeah. So that was the episode. Tune in next time where we talk about the introduction of
One
what
of the best
I
characters.
assume will be one of Alex's more liked characters. I think you are gonna I feel like you appreciate her.
I feel like you're being a little divisive by saying that.
Yeah, we get introduced to Asuka.
Asuka, and she makes me insane.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
They also get Saji.
Michelle
Anyway.
ever hears this episode, she's gonna hate me for saying what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't deserve to live after that.
Anyway. Yeah. Tune in next time. Bye-bye.